since you last saw me on this stage, what a year it's been. To think 12 months ago, I took counsel from our ambassadors as to whether it would be too controversial to do a presentation on the subject of referral fees. In the last 12 months, we've seen the referral fee ban, Jack Straw, dirty secrets, OFT inquiries, the call to number 10, all the press around the rising cost of insurance, telematics, we've been labelled dysfunctional, and of course there's been high-profile litigation. All subjects that we will touch on today as we take our journey through each part of the claims process.
This throws up a massive issue which is going to come down the line faster than you can possibly imagine. All this sharing of third-party data amongst the industry and within the industry doesn't go down well with consumers, and it doesn't win elections. And as a result of that, things like this happen. This is the new EU data directive. Wherever consent is required for data to be processed, it will have to be given explicitly. i.e., you can't just have a little tick box that says, do you agree to the terms and conditions, which we know you haven't read, or by clicking this box, you've agreed to the terms and conditions. They have to explicitly accept that it's okay for you to have that data and share it with others. This is the car insurance industry's Net Promoter Score, which we've been tracking for a few years. This is the average score for all insurers across the last few years, and it's been falling. So people are less satisfied with the insurance industry and have been increasingly less satisfied. And what it means is that the circle of trust between consumers and insurers is broken. So the plan that we have is to create one satisfaction scoring method for the whole industry, including insurers, all the claims handlers, everybody, done with one voice to create one mark of excellence that everybody can trust and everybody knows because it's independently collected. I think one of the things that the industry has to think about is how they can use this new technology to benefit consumers rather than consumers seeing it as being a benefit for the insurance company. And I think it's when you start thinking about it through the eyes of the customer, you think about, God, I need a cheap place to buy petrol, and my car can tell me that, or the telematics box can help me rather than just save me money. That's the thing that I think then you start to engage consumers. And one of the things that should be pointed out on that graph is that there were actually a substantial number of people who said, yes, I think it would be really good to put it in. And even 5% of people saying, yes, I think it's really good, is 1 million cars with telematics boxes in, which is a lot less than we have right now. So it doesn't, there's growth within telematics today with the people today before we start to address the issue of consumers and their behaviour.
Okay. Sorry, Craig Budsworth from Glaziers. From what you're saying with the body shops being instructed fairly promptly after an accident, this sounds really poor for independent body shops because all these claims will be going to the insurance approved body shops, not the independents anymore. Is that time to worry?
All insurance companies, as we know, work to optimise their repair network. It's always down to consumer choice. So we don't force customers to go into a repair network. We give them choice, but there's really good reasons why they go in. We could get into the whole debate about the value or non-value of insurance repair networks. I don't think it's any worse news. I think it's actually about how good a quality service you offer as a body shop, and therefore whether or not the consumer chooses to use you.
It would just strike me general to all three of you. If you know I've had the accident 5 seconds later, and you're ringing me up and saying you had an accident, Mr. Creswell, our approved repair is on his way with a replacement car for you. Well, hey, there's nothing else I want to have happen. I mean,
I think the reality is having awareness of the accident is going to improve direction into direct repair programs. That's going to happen.
A huge success in getting work into the DRPs, direct repair programs, which is what you want as an insurer.
Yeah, definitely.
This has got to be good news for the consumer, and because it's all about proactively getting to the customer in his hour of need and then dealing with him quickly and efficiently, and that's what customers want.
We're going to look at the legal landscape over the last 12 months and right now. We're going to look at the current climate and the OFT investigation into the credit hire market, and we're also going to look what the future of the GTA looks like.
The GTA Technical Committee is working well to achieve what we need to achieve, and I guess the big issue is people believing, and I'm saying this from an insurer perspective, people believing that there's still a better solution to all of this through the courts. The ludicrous waste of money on the 2-year saga that was Darren Bent demonstrates that nobody's really in the market for changing the law.
And surprisingly, we will touch on that.
Yeah. And we've got Balotelli in a car at the moment, so I can't wait till the Daily Mail get that one. He keeps appearing in the Daily Mail, which is brilliant, about this new car that he's bought because his own car was damaged, and it's better than a telematics device for us, because we know the car's okay, we know where it is, and we know he's got his girlfriend with him, so he's not going to be a lunatic.
Fantastic.
It's an extremely difficult place to do business. I think anyone in the room who's involved in it knows that. I've been to, 4 GTA meetings, and the meetings, if you like, are representative of what's on the table in front of you here today. The credit hire members compete to want to go, and they're limited to 6. The insurers have 6 spaces, and maybe 3 go, and it's the same 3 faces. The faces that are there are keen and I think acknowledge the benefits of it, but why are there only 3 there? And why is the level of representation of people who are there not higher than it is?
Yeah. Perhaps the most intriguing episode in the credit hire market ever, from my experience, is the autofocus story. Steve, as the man who's had the balls and resource to fight this fight, I appreciate it's a subject you can probably talk to us about all day. But just give us a brief overview of what's happened, what impact it's had on your business, and where you think it's going to leave Accident Exchange if justice is done.
Justice is being done already, and I think the evidence of that was Lord Justice Moses on February the 1st, 2012, when he ordered that the file be sent to the Attorney General for the Crown Prosecution Service and City of London Police to determine the basis of an investigation for this perversion of the course of justice and the terrible things that went on. We were a public company, and so everybody will have seen the headlines, because one of the pleasures of being a public company is that whenever things go wrong, you have to tell the world. And there's always more things going wrong than go right. And so from 2009, I guess, every one of our announcements was about the damage being caused as a consequence to judges believing that whatever was being peddled by Colin McLean and his bunch of motley fellows was the absolute and whole truth.
I think I would really be uncomfortable in shoes of any, whether it be solicitors or insurers, more importantly solicitors, if they've gone to autofocus and asked them to deliberately amend their evidence. Then that is a massive, massive breach of a legal trust, where you're not just going to get battered by the SRA and maybe struck off on a fine. This is criminal, and it's criminal on a massive, massive basis. And if I was in those shoes at the moment, I wouldn't be sleeping well at night.
Why have you allowed, this is where I'm going to offend somebody, price comparison sites to bomb your business? Why have you allowed that? What are you doing about getting rid of them? One, they annoy me intensely as a viewer of television, right? So you'd be doing me a favor in that regard. You know what? I even contemplated giving up watching Formula One when ITV had got it, because I couldn't stand any longer, right? CompareTheMarket.com. What do price comparison sites do, ladies and gentlemen? They destroy brand loyalty. And yet, each of you in your own way, whether you're a repairer, a solicitor, or an insurance company, are trying to build brand loyalty.
Let me just challenge you on a couple of things, Andrew.
Oh, I see.
I'm going to challenge you on two things. One on insurers building loyalty you talked about.
Yes.
But the consumer intelligence work, again, shows that they're not actually, because they will charge more for an existing policyholder to renew their premium than if you go to them as a new customer. So they don't reward loyalty, they don't approve of loyalty at all. They hit you hard in the pocket for being a loyal customer and staying with them. You're much better changing with them each year. There's no loyalty there from the insurer towards the consumer.
He's answered his own question, hasn't he? He's answered his own question. Once you've shot yourself in the foot, you start to limp. We're seeing limping here on a grand scale, right? Look at him. Actually, he could have done better than that. He shot himself in both feet. Having destroyed loyalty, of course there isn't any. But all of your competitors in different paradigms, i.e. looking for a share of wallet, that's the term, right? They're spending all their energy on trying to build it.
The main complaint that I hear against body shops is not the quality of work, and I totally take that. Very few complaints about that. It's communication, it's not hitting completion date.
The reasons for not hitting the estimated completion date, there's a list of them, isn't there? We monitor them. When we don't hit the date, or when we alter the date, we put in why we don't alter it, so you can analyse that data. Because we're analysing the data, yes, we can improve on it.
I think what's important there is that the repairer and the insurer is constantly updating each other.
Yes.
Because inevitably what happens is, if the customer hasn't got their car back, which is actually what they want, then they're going to call the insurer. And if the insurer can't answer the question, then it's a convoluted process to try and find the answer from the repairer to answer the customer. And actually what the customer wants is to pay.
And that all costs money.
Correct.
Wayne, how good are you at communicating with your insurers, with your customers and policyholders, and secondly, how good are you at hitting completion dates?
I think looking at the car initially, too many repairers put a lot of focus on triaging the repair. Yeah, some of the focus has got to be actually put on, believe it or not, triaging the customer. Listen to the customer. Just as important as trying to identify what damage is on their car, listen to their requirements. What's their life? Do they work evenings? Have they got to get the kids to school? Have they got to... So if you can get that information, that all helps then to identify the customer's expectations and then manage that.
It's firmly into context for you, as we have analysed over 50,000 GP reports from June 09 right through to July 11, and the results paint a very clear picture, and one that shows that our independent panel see a huge range of injuries of varying severities, with the prognoses for recovery ranging from 0 to 3 months right through to more protracted periods. And we can be confident that accidents and prognosis periods such as the one supposedly at the heart of the issue, the £4,000 claim for the 1 mile an hour accident, are simply not as commonplace as some would have you believe.
What we intend to launch a little bit later this year is the certificate in medical legal reporting. So what we want to do is answer the question about the desire for objective medical evidence that the experts have got the required level of knowledge to assess each of the clients that they see. So this is to pull together a receptacle which has got all of the latest evidence, all of the latest thinking, and actually make that available to our panel so that they've got that and they can make the best possible assessment of the client that's in front of them. There'll also be a little bit more on the civil procedure rules to make sure that the expert is actually addressing all of the points that are required in that. This will be done through an e-learning module through Capital Learning and Development. This will all be put on a website, and the site is effectively made available to the doctors through links. And all the relevant articles and guidance will be enclosed on there.
So really then, just to wrap up, just a couple of ideas. So I think really we've got to take the heat out by a change in costs. I think refocus on the customer. I think the injured party is not a parasite. There clearly are some exaggerated claims, and there clearly are some fraudulent claims, but what we should be doing is concentrating on that and accepting that individuals in accident have had an injury and deserve some compensation, and really focusing on their needs and moving that forward as part of the debate. There are all kinds of different ideas around the market at the moment. One that's being pushed is the idea of a pre-portal process where rehabilitation is moved to the front of the process. This is something that BICMA are putting forward, where there's an initial triage, some treatment, and then we move towards a report and a compensation at that stage. And the other element that seems to have been lost in all of the debate is the Jackson tariff. At the lower end, it wouldn't be difficult to introduce a tariff to say, this is the injury, this is the compensation, and streamline the whole process. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes, and that possibly the legal process will become more of a limited area in what's left. But I think the debate really will focus around the level of legal costs, and we'll see how that comes out over the next 2 to 3 months.
I just want to say thank you to all of you for sticking around. I'd like to thank all our members for supporting what we do and what we've done over the last 2 years. Our sponsors, Mr. Creswell, that's the first time I've ever seen him on the back foot when Mr. Andrew Garner had him pedalling back to his little room on the side there. And we'll hope to see you at our next event in January. Thank you very much.